Doop-a-doo, doop-doo-doo. Just finished watching Texas. Can everyone hear me? Most importantly, is the chat box up? Doesn't look like it per se. Kyle Bush fan 18. Hi, how you doing? Can everyone hear me? Perfect. That's weird. Not sure why exactly the chat box isn't up per se. Well, in the meantime, can hear you 10-4 Raging Knuckles. Appreciate you, my man. So in the meantime, while I try to get this chat box up for you guys, what did everyone think about the race? I know the title of today's episode, by the way, before we get started. Welcome to the Cutline, everybody. My name is Armani DePaul, the host of the Cutline. And like I mentioned before we get started, what did you guys think about the race? I have so many positive things to say about this race. Totally, Kevin Harvick is very not happy. Raging Knuckles, appreciate you. Y'all can hear me. 10-4. Good stuff. All right, let's see what we got here. Hey, there's no chat. Really, Chris? You don't say. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what's going on with that one. So many cautions and Logano doesn't... Oh, here we go. Huh. That's weird. The chat took a little bit of time to... chat box took a little bit of time to get going. Better late than never. Javier, excuse me. So many cautions and Logano doesn't deserve that win. That's my opinion. Texas gets better every year. Granted, it is a low bar to start with. Yeah, we'll get to that. NR 2055 CB Yo. And the race was good. So, we have a lot to talk about. We got a couple segments. Obviously, the title of today's episode could suggest might have a difference of opinions, maybe not. But one man who might have a difference of opinions with me, and before I say anything, I promise I am not purposefully bringing birthday boys onto the show. Because last week we had Johnny on the track. It was his birthday. This guy's birthday was yesterday. But I promise you, I'm not doing this on purpose. So let's bring him on. He's a return. Oh, of course he's drinking.
I'm having a high quality, one of a kind drink over here.
Well, if you guys don't know who this is Vanilla Wafers, big on TikTok. So, good friend of mine. First of all, Vanilla Wafers, aka Tyler, aka the GOAT of the Championship 4. That's an inside joke, but aka Big Hat Man. aka the Liquid Death Guy. There's a lot of AKAs with Tyler, but what's going on, man?
Let me just say this. The three worst races of this year have been Talladega, Martinsville, and Bristol. Meanwhile, three of the better races this year have come from Phoenix, Las Vegas, and Texas. What year are we in? What is this? This is not normal. There's nothing... that's going on correctly here in NASCAR. And now we get Texas probably having the best race of the season. I don't even know. It's been known as Texas for so many years, and now it's like Texas Gold, Texas T of NASCAR right now. I can't believe it.
I can't tell if you're joking or you're being serious about that statement. About Texas being a... First of all, Texas being a... We'll get to the race weekend rankings later, but that is a wild statement to say Texas is a top 3 race.
Well, okay, as far as entertainment goes, that one you gotta say it's right there in that mix. We seriously gotta say it now, because you didn't know who was gonna win the race. You did it. There were strategies all over the place. You didn't know what was the right strategy. It actually became a good race, and I can't believe it.
Oh boy, chat, what do we think about Tyler's statements? This is going to lead right into the first segment of Above and or Below the Cut Line. Let's see what some of the chat has to say. Kyle Bush fan 18, I believe I said it, but the race was good. Alexander Stigall said Kyle Larson should have won today, but a guy running 30th had to run out of talent, resulting in a 195 mile per hour demo derby, and Logano backed it to the win.
Good old Rick Ware Racing, baby.
Shout out to AJ Hyder, current Ask a Point Series leader. Please start in last tomorrow. Armani, can we as a group bulldoze the track? What do you say, Tyler? You want to go bulldoze Texas?
Well, it's still a really good idea. It's still highly on the list of a lot of people who can request it. But after this race, I think those plans might be delayed just slightly, just slightly.
Raging Knuckles, yum. High quality water.
One of a kind, yep. High quality drink for everyone.
Shazane SR2448, quite the hat. So guys are clearly loving the hat, Tyler.
Oh yeah, the Big Hat Gang. I mean, it's so goofy. Do you think I'm supposed to be here to be serious with this big hat? No, absolutely not. If I tried to do that, then it would be ridiculous.
Yeah,
this is quality.
You want us to take you seriously?
Oh, absolutely not. What do you mean? I mean, yeah, I do a tier list. Maybe you can take me seriously on that, but for the most part, nah, you don't have to.
Chad, who has a better tier list? My tier list with race weekend rankings, or Tyler with his weekly driver rankings? Who is the better tier list?
Well, right now, here on the S tier list, we got ourselves Christopher Bell, William Byron, and Kyle Larson. I don't know if those are really going to move that much. Maybe Christopher Bell might slightly move down, but the dude has 3 wins still for this season. You'll move up Joey Logano. Denny Hamlin will drop down probably due to his incident that happened. Ryan Blaney can move up. I mean, it's looking pretty good. It looks like we're pretty close for an accurate tier list over here.
All right, let's jump into the meat and potatoes here, and let's get to our first segment. And this one is going to be a little bit special. So, as you guys saw the title of today's video, what we have here is what I always like to put up is the Daily Downforce Discord. And the reason I put up the Daily Downforce Discord is because Raging Knuckles in the chat, he could tell you. So pretty much every race, I try to get into the chat and I try to talk with everyone, get a gauge on what everyone's feeling about the race, X, Y, and Z. I didn't really get to watch too much of the truck race because I was busy watching Thunderbolts because I didn't want to get spoiled. And I won't spoil it for you guys, but go watch the movie. The MCU is back. The Hopium has taken over. I know this is a NASCAR show, but I am an MCU fan, and it is good to finally have a good MCU movie again. But, yeah, so the reason I put this here is, who the fuck let him cook? That's funny. So, I want to answer the question of today's episode. Was Texas a good race? And, of course, Tyler alluded to it. He thinks it's good. I'll give my thoughts when we get into the race weekend rankings. To me, I'm going to ask you guys this question. That's what we're going to start off this segment with. What do you guys constitute as a good race? Does the racing product, what I mean by that is the on-track racing where guys can go side by side and pass for the lead, you name it, is that what you guys consider a good race? If that is what you consider a good race, there wasn't a lot for you in terms of substance. Yes, Reddick had a fast car. He probably could have gotten the lead. Yes, Blaney was up there at the end. There were plenty of moments, but typically, especially up front, it wasn't really a race. Track position was key. Michael McDowell nearly won the race off 2 tires, which, by the way, I had McDowell in fantasy. I was so close! I'm getting sidetracked, but anyway, so if that is what you consider good racing, or for a good race, this race is probably not going to be your cup of tea. On top of that, you might be someone like Tyler, where you look at the entertainment aspect of things, where you look at the cautions, the unpredictability, the strategy, putting everything into the equation, then you might say that is a good race. And of course, we heard it with Tyler. We'll get to him in a minute, to go a little more into detail, but chances are that is what that side would consider a good race. So where do I stand on all of this? To me, it's interesting. I do appreciate the different strategies. You had some guys taking 2 tires, you had some guys taking 4. And tire wear was, to an extent, a factor. It seemed like the guys on 2 tires, they were kind of stuck with running the bottom line all around the track, and guys with 4 tires can kind of work their way around more times than not. But ultimately, track position was king above all else. If the caution didn't come out with, I believe, like 7 laps to go, McDowell was probably going to win that race regardless. The reason he didn't win is because Logano worked around the track with his 4 tires, and he got by him, and then McDowell lost talent when Blaney got by him. But credit to Logano. I do not want to discredit Logano. He got the job done. I appreciate strategy in racing because I'm not a fan of people who like to go out and say, oh, this guy only won the race because of strategy, or he only won because it's a super speedway, or it's a different package. You have to do, like, it's harder to win a race than we realize, and that's why I try not to discredit a win. Unless it's like a Justin Haley Daytona where lightning just struck and then just no one saw that coming. Unless it's literally as unpredictable as you could get, then I try to give everyone credit where credit is due. So, but the racing product in and of itself was not good. The battles for the lead were scarce, if not at all, more times than not, unless you were superior, like to the level of Blaney at Darlington. Unless you were that much faster than the leader, chances are you weren't going to get by. The leader was going to set sail and cruise away. So it happened with Josh Berry, Austin Cindric, Carson Hocevar, pretty much everyone who got the lead. Larson, McDowell, you name it. That's what happened more times than not. I mean, the beginning of this race, I put on Twitter, the Miami Grand Prix, their beginning of the race was way more interesting than the Cup race. But again, I don't think this race was a pure disaster class. I don't think it was the worst race of the year. I think we've had far worse races than that. Do I think Texas was good? Someone said it in the chat right here, and I believe, yeah, it's Raging Knuckles by Texas standards, yes. And by standards of all tracks, it's hard to tell. And I do want to bring up a tweet here really quick here. Let me see if I can find it for a second. Oh, Landon Castle, by the way, a little sneak peek of what our next segment's going to be about. But let's go to my Twitter real quick. Shameless plug, by the way. So, I tweeted yesterday about how treacherous Texas Motor Speedway is. I like this for a multitude of reasons. Number one, I like when drivers have to be on edge 100% of the time. Especially with this playoff format where if you win a race, yeah, you could get more playoff points, but typically if you win a race, you have no reason to care for most of the season. Yeah, a couple playoff points are nice here and there, but Logano proved last year you don't really need a lot of playoff points. You just need to be at the right place at the right time. So, when you have a track like Darlington, like back in the day Dover, or like nowadays Texas Motor Speedway, where you can't afford to take a break, you need to be on point for every single lap, because if not, it comes back to bite you. I like that. It really shows who the best drivers are. It shows who can stay on that raggedy edge from start to finish. There is no breaks. And I love that. I personally love that. So in that way, I've kind of come to appreciate Texas Motor Speedway for that sense. Again, there are some tracks that I know the on-track product probably isn't going to be that good. Texas is one of them. But I appreciate how hard it is to drive. I appreciate that you need to be on point as a driver from lap 1 to lap 267 or extended because of overtime. I appreciate that just as not necessarily a racing fan, but just as a fan of just seeing how these drivers perform their craft. Typically, if you win a race at Texas, you earned it because you had to not only survive attrition, which we don't get a lot of that nowadays, but you have to have been on point from start to finish. Do I think Texas was a good race? This is going to be a little controversial. I'm going to say yes. I don't think it was a barn burner. I don't think it was one of the best races of the year. We'll get to Tyler with his more in-depth of his opinion, but I do think it was an above the cut line race. Now, keep alluding to him long enough. Tyler, I kind of joined the dark side a little bit. We're going to see if that is controversial or not in the comments section, but depth into exactly, why you thought this was a good race. You mentioned the strategy.
Yeah, so one thing that this is the thing that drives me crazy about certain races is the fact that you can't make any different types of strategies. So at the beginning of the race, I was worried. I was really worried on how this race was going to be because, oh my gosh, the live stream is really close up on my face. I'll back up a little bit for you guys. But really, it was more of like a follow the leader type of thing for the most part. And that drove me crazy. And kind of in a sense, it was like that. But here's the situations that we saw here on pit road, and something that you don't usually see at other races with the Gen 7 car. You can kind of figure out which three drivers are going to win the race. You couldn't figure that out here at Texas. You could have someone make a strategy and be able to show them how powerful the car was, because what we've seen here at this racetrack, and if you guys were watching from people from like first on to 30th, not many people were going a lap down. These cars were very, very even. So what I want in a race is unpredictability, and we got that. So that's why I'm really happy with this race. There was a lot of chaoticness that did happen at the end. I mean, one too many cautions. But this is kind of what we had at longer racetracks, especially in the middle of the 2000s. We had that absolute chaos near the end of the race. You had cautions here and there. And it was a bit of survival when it was all said and done. So I feel like we got that feel. Now, one thing I didn't like that a lot of people are kind of skipping over is Michael McDowell did not get black flagged on that restart near the end. I don't know if you guys saw, but not Joey Logano, Michael McDowell edged out Kyle Larson at that line, and they didn't say anything about it. Did you notice that, Armani?
I'm not as sure exactly. I don't think the rule is the rule you have to you can't edge them out, or you can't start before the leader. Because I feel like we've seen that a lot more times where second place will get by first on the line, but I think it's second place can't start before the leader. I think that's what the rule is. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. Chat, are we right? Are we wrong? We got a couple of difference of opinions here on the chat. Raging Knuckles just barely above the cut line. Shodrick, I apologize if I mispronounced your name. Race was terrible.
So here's the thing. What are we looking for in a race? What does it need to be considered a good race? We did not like Talladega. We did not like Martinsville. We did not like Bristol. And this race kind of causes that a little bit of that shakeup. It's like, look, now we're getting all this passing. Now we're getting this chaos. And then people are still not liking it. What is it that us NASCAR fans want? And if I'm going to get something, I want unpredictability, kind of like how we got here at Texas. So what is it that we're looking for?
I think what it is it's kind of, to me, this race reminded me about what we would consider. It's funny enough, I'm wearing an Aston Martin hat, and I talked about the Miami Grand Prix, which, I live 30 minutes away from. But I think it's typically when someone says an F1 race is good, it's because there's a lot of calamity. Like, there's a lot of there's a lot of crashes or guys just losing talent. But the actual wheel-to-wheel combat or side-by-side, the actual battles, aren't really there. And I think that's what this race was. Like, the battles for the lead weren't really there. There was a few, but not too many. So it's like, I think it's just more, like you mentioned, it's more the unpredictability. I think what a lot of fans will want would more just be, you can actually, more, I guess natural is the word to use. And I mean, if a guy spins, that's natural. I mean, you can't control that or not. Well, the driver can, but I think that's what it is.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, we're all trying to figure out what it is that we want, surprisingly, that we want here with this Gen 7 car. And it feels like whatever is provided out there, we just seem to hate it. And that's what's driving me crazy. It's just, yeah, you can see a bunch of passes for the lead. Well, people get upset about that because in Talladega, they consider it a terrible race. And then we see people really close up to each other here at Texas, and people are complaining about that. So I don't know. I really don't know the answer. All I know is I had fun watching it, because you couldn't figure out what was going to happen next. And sometimes with this world of NASCAR where you kind of want that entertainment. I mean, we got the playoffs. I mean, other sporting events do that with this type of entertainment. We were entertained. Like, I don't know how people could not be entertained by it.
Just give me 1 second. I gotta put might as well show it to everyone in the chat real quick. So every week I put it on Twitter earlier, but I also put in the race reactions chat. Was the Cup race a good Was a Cup race this Texas good, above or below? See, we already got some guys starting to vote here. So if you guys want to vote on that, go to my Twitter or go onto the Daily Downforce Discord under race reactions and vote. Above means good, below means bad. If you're Tyler and I, you would go above. But that gets into the whole debate, Tyler, about just like, entertainment, pure. Like, for example, like I'm a racing purist. I'm someone who I'm going to be entertained by just the product, like the on-track product. I don't need gimmicks to be entertained in racing. But I mean, I get it. You can't deny that this car, everyone is closer. So at least on the eye test, it looks entertaining. The format is entertaining. It's just a matter of, we're going on a different discussion, but what is too much entertainment? What is entertainment versus sport? Like that could be like we've been talking about this since the chase was introduced back in 2004.
Yeah. So here's how I see it. If you want pure chaos, and I mean just nothing but pure entertainment, then you go to a Gen 6 super speedway race. That's absolute pure chaos and just nothing but entertainment. So I don't think people want to go that route. That's a little bit too far. If you want one that's just pure racing, you could almost have something that happened in the Atlanta in the late 2010s where these guys are slipping and sliding, but no one can pass and you have one person dominate the race, or maybe a Martin Truex Jr. at the Coca-Cola 600. So you got to find that blend in between. And I feel like we're getting close to it in some spots, and then some spots we're really missing it. So I'm sitting here to a point thinking to myself, do I really dislike the 2025 season, or am I really liking it? And a part of me really does like it, and a part of me also wants to really dislike it. And I'm just sitting here just to the moment, just thinking in my head, look, this is the way NASCAR has been for quite a while now, since 2014. I've been here ever since then. I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm still loving the product. So there's something that's bringing me back. And sometimes that unpredictability is what keeps bringing me back. I don't want a race where it's predictable, where the best driver in the first 5 laps is going to win the whole race. I don't want to sit here for 400 miles and wait for that. So either we shorten up the races or we change the system. I don't know. There's a lot of ways we can go with this. I'm throwing stuff onto the wall right now, but all I can say is we finally got something that was a lot different from some other races we've had here this year, and it's something I can appreciate.
Before I give my opinion, shout out to Jamie Swetzer. Sorry if I mispronounced your last name. I'm attending the 3rd annual Joey Logano Foundation charity concert May 20th at Coyote Joe's in Charlotte. So hey, congratulations, man. Hope you attending the 3rd annual concert. Hey, let us know how it is.
And so we don't like Joey Logano. Joey Logano drives us crazy sometimes, but the man does so much charitable stuff. He's really hard to dislike outside of the race car. Like I go there and I'm just like, man, I'm gonna dislike this guy. I'm gonna dislike this guy. I'm not even gonna shake his hand. And then you meet him and you're like, hey, Mr. Logano, I hope you're doing really well. And he's really friendly to you back. And then he walks away and you're like, I'm gonna boo you so bad.
We like Logano the person. We hate Logano the driver.
Yeah, exactly.
And go back to what you said before about, like, oh, we're going to get this or that. My problem is, it's like politics. I feel like a lot of time we always choose between one extreme or the other. It's either if we let these teams do what they want, if we give them more horsepower, it's going to be like a Formula One race and everyone's going to be separated by 30 seconds. Or if it's going to be low horsepower, then it's the worst racing we've ever seen. It is terrible. NASCAR is dying. When 95% of the time, it is not either side. Like the playoff format. The whole argument is, do you want a guy locking up the championship with 3 races to go? That is as rare to happen as 5 guys going into the final race of the season with the shot at the championship. That is very, very rare. Typically, that doesn't happen. Yeah, Matt Kenseth did it in 2003. But that's because, I keep saying this before, if NASCAR back then just gave more points to the winner, there would be no reason for a playoff format. Just give the winner more points. Like the winner, it doesn't matter how bad, the winner should always get the most points out of anyone. It doesn't matter if they were running 20th all race, 30th, 10th, 2nd. The winner should always have the most points. That's really what it comes down to. Then again, I'm talking about like the old format. Nowadays, the winner doesn't even get the most points. But that's what I mean there. It's like we keep thinking it's going to be one extreme or another when 99% of the time it's not. It's like you mentioned, somewhere in the middle.
Mhm. And I think now with the Gen 7 car, we could do that. We very well could. I don't think you could have done that point system with the Gen 6 car and provide that many points for a winner, because what was happening for throughout those seasons, you had one person just dominating so many races. So at that point, someone would lock up the championship like 3 races prior if we gave that many points to the winner. Because look, Kyle Larson, he won a double-digit amount of races. Kevin Harvick was winning double-digit. Martin Truex Jr. But now we got a car that's so equal and showing the importance of winning that maybe we could go to something like that.
I'm going to disagree with you for a few reasons. Now, I do want to put with the context that I know different format, they would have raced differently. But let's go at least to the stage racing from 2017 to today. Truex, I think he would have because he was just the best driver all year. 2018 would have went to a title decider because he had the big 3, even though it was really the big 2.5. Harvick and Busch would have competed for the title at the end. Truex would have been a long shot. 2019, it would have been a 5-way battle between Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, Martin Truex Jr., and I believe it was Brad Keselowski at the end. Because Kyle Busch, he kind of had a lull second half, didn't really do anything till the final race of the year. Hamlin was coming on strong at the end. Harvick was coming on strong at the end. So was Truex. He won 7 races that year, I believe. And then Keselowski was kind of just lurking in the background. 2020, yes, Harvick won 9 races, but Hamlin won 7. So I think Harvick still would have won the title, maybe wrapped it up with 1 to go, but it would have been very, very close. And Chase Elliott, he was the best driver in the final 10 races. 2021, and this is coming from a Kyle. Give me a second. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Before I go further, most of y'all should know that I'm a Kyle Larson fan.
Really?
Most of y'all should know I'm a Kyle Larson fan. Shout out to Craig. Back in Daytona, he helped me get this Kyle Larson Championship diecast and the Daytona Flea Market. Craig, if you're watching, shout out to you, my man. Love this thing. But yeah, as a Kyle Larson fan, Larson, as crazy as this sounds, if you really look in the 2021 season, Larson would not have run away with the title. What do I mean by that? Yeah, Larson won 10 races, but Hamlin was stupid consistent. He had an average finish, I believe, of 8.3. Hamlin would have taken Larson to Phoenix. Larson still would have won at the end, but Hamlin's consistency. Think about 1996, for example, but the roles are reversed. If you guys remember, in 1996, it was Jeff Gordon's 10 wins versus Terry Labonte's 2. Labonte was more consistent than Gordon, and he won the title. Hamlin was more consistent than Larson, but Larson, it was the roles were reversed. Larson's wins just overtook Hamlin's consistency. So Larson would have won the title, but it wouldn't have been just a runaway like people might think. 2022, new year, new car. Chase Elliott would have won the title, but it would have been close because Chastain was more consistent. Logano came on strong at the end, and Elliott didn't really have a good chase. 2023, it would have been between Truex and Byron. Last year, it would have been between Larson. I think Logano, he was like outside the top 10. It was like it was Hamlin, Larson, a couple other guys, you name it. So, even with the Gen 6, I mean, how many did I mention for the Gen 6, at least from the stage era? Truex, and maybe Harvick, maybe Larson, but definitively only 1.
Fair enough. Well, who do you think is the best driver right now this season in 2025? If you had to pick a driver here in these first 11 races, you would pick Larson. Meanwhile, you have someone like you got someone like William Byron, who's been so consistent, running inside the top 10, leading laps in almost every single race. So I don't understand. Or why not say Christopher Bell, who's gotten 3 victories?
Well, I'll say this about Bell. Yeah, he won 3 races, but what has he really done since then?
He's been in the mix. What are you talking about? He's been right inside the top 5 and top 10 as well.
Yeah, but like you're not seeing as like you're seeing, but you've seen more recently Byron and Larson, and at least like Byron, yeah, he's been good. I probably put Byron number 2, but Larson has been able to close the deal a little more than Byron. Obviously, 2 wins versus 1 so far, and let's be honest, if the field doesn't wreck at Daytona, Byron is winless. I know you're a Byron fan. And I want to give Byron his flowers. Like, I think Byron is due for a second win. He's due. But I give it's like 1A, 1B. I just give the slight edge to Larson. But it's very close. I don't want to say, like, Larson is clear cutting away better than Byron and Bell. Like, it is very close between the 3 of them.
Yeah, I don't know. I want to sit here and think to myself, like, yeah, there's some things to fix, but I don't know. We feel like we got all these answers for it, and I think I'm just sitting here trying to make this argument because I'm trying to sit here and understand why people are not really becoming a big fan of this race at Texas, when this is kind of something that fans are almost like begging to want. Just absolutely begging for something like this, and then we get it, and then people are getting so upset about it. I don't understand.
Well, it's also NASCAR fans. We are kings of complaining.
True.
The 3 guarantees in life: death, taxes, and NASCAR fans complaining.
Where's Will at? Where's Will?
Oh, he's busy announcing at Anderson. We already know what his opinion would be of this.
Do you think he would hate this race?
Absolutely, 100%.
I don't understand it. I don't understand it.
We'll have a chat about it later.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to our next segment here. We're going to switch back. We're going to take a trip back in time. We're going to take a trip back in time to yesterday. I know, very far in the past.
Really far.
Yes. So, Justin Allgaier versus Chris Wright. If you guys didn't watch the race yesterday, Justin Allgaier was leading the race. And then Chris Wright in the 5 car, you could see the gift right on the screen, right to the left of me. Chris Wright swerving all over. He's high, he's low, he's high, he's low. And then Allgaier gets to the back of him because he doesn't know where the 5 is going. And then they get into a wreck, and then the caution comes out, and the 7's day is over. Here's my thing. I saw a little bit of discourse saying that, was it on Allgaier? Was it on Wright? First of all, in my opinion, it was 100% on Chris Wright. To anyone who wants to say, well, Allgaier should have gotten by him, if you're on the highway and you got a guy in front of you who's not using their turn signal and they're going from one lane to the other and they're like going 30 and you're going 45, 50, and they're going from one lane to the other and it's a 2-lane road and you don't know where to go. How can you expect to get by someone when they're being so unpredictable that you don't know where they're going to go? So that's why I don't buy too much about, oh, well, Allgaier should have gone by him. It's not like, who was the driver? It's not like William Sawalich on Catherine Legge, where Sawalich just didn't even bother trying when Legge held her line. This was literally just swerving, and then Allgaier just had to hope and pray that he stuck his line. And even to the sense about, oh, well, he should have just gone by him. Chris Wright, who's been a repeat offender of this all season, even in this race alone, people were complaining about that 5 car just being all over the place. I don't know if Chris Wright knows how to handle an Xfinity car. I really don't. Because that's been his biggest concern all year, is the fact that he's always in people's way. He can't hold a line. That tells me he doesn't know how to control the car. And do we really need people on the racetrack who don't know how to control a race car? That's more dangerous than Catherine Legge being 30 miles an hour off the pace, in my opinion. Or as dangerous. But back to what I wanted to say. If you're a slow car, your job is to stay out of the leader's way. Don't interfere with the race. Quinn Huff, Garrett Smithley, those guys' careers were basically ruined in the public eye because they got in the leader's way and caused wrecks. Chris Wright did the same thing. And I always have this statement. I try not to give... Typically, this is going to sound harsh. I don't really give a lot of backmarkers really just like, flowers. Like, I know some people were complaining about, why is Chad Fincham in the 66? Why do you care? He's not going to do anything in the race. So, like, kind of the same thing here with Chris Wright. It's like, well, why do you care? Like, sometimes it's like, he's not going to win. He's not going to make the playoffs. He's not going to run top 15, top 20. He's going to run in the back. So it's like, I don't really care too much personally. I know it sounds cruel, but that's just how I am. So if you're a slow car, stay on, and the leaders coming up. Maybe the spotter didn't tell him. But if the spotter does tell you, stay on the bottom. Yeah, you might want to say, oh, he's coming up on the track. It doesn't matter. Stay on the bottom. You are the slower car. At that point of the race, your job is not to I don't want to say make the corner, but your job is not to be on the preferred line. Your job is to stay out of the leader's way. And Chris Wright failed at his job. Like Landon Castle, I almost said Landon Huffman, said here. I think he said it great. Make the faster car pass you where you want them to pass you. You are in control of your car. Now your spotter, you already know you're off the pace and you know the leaders are coming. So where are you most comfortable with having the leaders pass you? Exactly. Like if I was Chris Wright in this situation, I would just stay on the bottom. I wouldn't move. I'd be like, here, I'm on the bottom. You're going to pass me on the top. I'm going to stay on the bottom. You got all the lane in the world. If you come on me at the bottom, I don't know what Algy would be doing, but this is perfect. Shout out to Landon Castle. But
can I throw in my 2 cents on this one?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm gonna say this about Chris Wright. I'm looking at his stats. This man has ran about 50 races inside of the Truck Series, and not once has he finished inside the top 10. So the fact that he got this right in the Xfinity Series is one of those situations where a lot of people get upset. You kind of buy yourself into a ride. Now, I don't know Chris Wright as a person. I've never been able to talk to him. But this has got to be something that's got to be very frustrating for a lot of fans. Now, with that being said, we complain about these cars handling too well. And what I noticed there was the guy lost control. I agree. He should stay on the inside lane. He should try his best to stay out of the way. But you can see clearly in the replays over and over, he loses the car in the turn. And unfortunately, Justin Allgaier's right there to go. It is right there, right behind him. So it's another situation where it's just like, it's great that we have these races where you have these cars this track that's like really hard to handle. These cars are like slipping and sliding. This could sometimes happen. I think this is a combination of a driver who should not be in a ride, but since he has that sponsorship backing, that is going to play a factor. And in this situation right here, this is also a factor of, hey, when you have cars that are ill handling, it's a really tough racetrack, this could be the potential outcome. You could have someone who's going a lap down take out one of the leaders, and that's exactly what happened.
I think that goes back to my statement before when talking about Chris Wright, is the fact that I don't think he can handle an Xfinity car. The fact that we've seen it and heard it about just drivers complaining about him not holding a line. That tells me he just can't handle an Xfinity car. He does not know how to drive an Xfinity car.
No, and I agree with that. I mean, I'm looking at his finishes right now. He has that one top 10 at Martinsville, and I think that was just such a chaotic race. I'm trying to remember it, where everybody was going out of control. But I'm looking at his average finish right now with our motorsports, and his average finish is almost around 30th. It is really rough. And then it's like, okay, what did he do in the Truck Series that impressed anybody? Nothing really. I mean, he even got a shot with Tricon Garage, and he finished 30th and 26th in those races. So I don't understand what's going on here. I don't understand how someone like this, except for the sponsorship money, can have this ride.
I just showed it on the screen real quick, but if you guys weren't able to see it, Wright's average finish is 28th. 3 DNFs, 1 top 10 coming at Martinsville, and he's 29th in points. I don't want to clown on Wright too much again, just because, it's like he doesn't really do anything. He's in a backmarker, so it's like, I don't expect him to do too much anyway. But when you're a hazard, that's when it's a problem.
I don't even want to say he's a backmarker, because look at Anthony Alfredo when he was driving that number 5 car. He did a decent job. I think at one point he was kind of flirting with trying to make it into the playoffs for the Xfinity Series. So this is not really a backmarker team. It's not one of the fastest teams, but this team should not be struggling as bad as it is. If you want a perfect example, AM Racing last year, that's a great example because you had Brett Moffitt. They were so close. They unfortunately struggled there near the end, trying to make it into the playoffs. Then you get Haley Deegan coming in. It's a complete nightmare. Now you got Harrison Burton. Things are going good again. I don't want to call these teams back markers.
Yeah, that's true. Probably should have thought about that one.
Yeah.
Got a few comments here. Raging Knuckles, yes, stay out of the way if you're slow. Maybe not Our Motorsports is a back marker, but Chris Wright is. The driver is a back marker. The team isn't.
Yeah.
Nick Hook, give Texas a second day to slower down their hoss. And Jamie or Jaime again. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. Connor Zillage taking Suarez's seat. I think he will.
I think so too. I mean, Suarez right now, we know he's in the hot seat. Him and Chastain, but right now, I'm telling you, Chastain is performing a little bit better than Suarez. I mean, SVG, he's definitely not having a great season at all. I don't care what anyone says; it's not a great season. But the thing is, if he can perform at those road courses, it's not going to matter.
Yeah, Suarez, he is 25th in points, one top 10. Sheesh. Oh, excuse me, one top 5 and 3 top 10s.
Now let's be honest. They have struggled a bit. The Trackhouse as a whole has struggled, but with that being said, I mean you gotta perform. This was a team that was running so good, and Chastain is still getting some good finishes here and there. So you got to make the best of what you have.
Look who's 24th in points right now.
Who's 24th in points?
Josh Berry.
Isn't that crazy? That is absolutely insane. I'm not surprised by that though.
It has literally been like feast or famine. He's had so much speed this year, but he's had three DNFs. My God.
Yeah, and then this team has led more laps than they ever have in like the last 45 years is what it sounded like was that statistic. So it is absolutely crazy right now. It just shows you how closely competitive this Gen 7 car is. So as much as we want to bag on it, it's made competition so freaking close. Wow. So I want to love this Gen 7 car. I really do. I'm sitting here. I'm not going to be a person that's like, we got to go back to the Gen 6 car because that's just asinine because we hate it for so many years.
No, the Gen 6 was awful. Like, anyone who thinks we need to go back to the Gen 6, unless it's for plate racing, please stop.
I don't even think we want to go back for plate racing because, like I said, it was a complete crapshoot every time you went there. Everyone wrecked. You had millions go away. If you're going to use it for any type of racing, maybe short track racing.
Yeah.
Maybe like Bristol and Martinsville. That's it. Or Iowa Speedway.
Agreed. All right. I think I got one more I got one more segment here. Before. Oh, by the way. I would say the Chris Wright, Justin Allgaier is below the cut line. I know I didn't mention that earlier, but that is below the cut line for me.
Oh yeah, it's at the bottom of the cut line.
It's not even close to the cut line.
No, the cut line and Chris Wright should not be.
It's about as far away from the cut line as Chris Wright is.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of something that's below the cut line, actually, I don't know if I put this below the cut line. Well, either way, let's get to it. So the only reason I'm really bringing this up is because there was some conversation on the Daily Downforce Discord during the Xfinity race about Kyle Larson winning. And maybe not necessarily about Larson winning, but more about the idea of bushwhacking. If you guys don't know what bushwhacking is, Raging Knuckles, if you're still here, obviously, you would know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Southern Belle, hi, y'all. Hope y'all enjoyed the race. We just talked about the race. We did enjoy it. We did enjoy it indeed. Joshua 8824 Racing and Larson winning made it worse. Yeah, so let me get to that right now. Bushwhacking. It is a conversation that has come up, I feel like more so this year compared to last year. And I got some notes here. And I want to go to the Larson comment really quick here. Shout out to the Daily Downforce, of course. We got an article right here. And so Larson made comments basically talking about, I wish it showed who wrote this article. I want to give him a shout out. But basically Larson saying that he wants to go there, and anytime he runs the Xfinity Series race, he wants to embarrass them. He wants to show that he is better than them, and he wants to just outright destroy them. Dale Jr. approves of that. He approves of those comments. You see right here, NASCAR Hall of Famer supports wanting to embarrass them. So you got a guy who is a back-to-back Xfinity Series champion saying that he approves of this. And typically when you get a comment like this, or just this discussion, there are pros and cons. Now, the pro for what a lot of people say for bushwhacking is it should theoretically make the Xfinity Series drivers better. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is if these Xfinity guys are racing against Cup level drivers on a more consistent basis, then they will learn the tips and tricks, and they will learn how to race against drivers of those caliber, and in theory, it would make them better. That is one of the pros. Another pro is more exposure to the series. I mean, let's be honest. Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, Dale Jr., Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott are going to get more eyeballs on a race than Justin Allgaier, Jesse Love, Austin Hill, you name it. They're going to bring more exposure to the series than the regulars. Those are some of the pros. Here's some of the cons, however. More exposure for the series is good. How about less exposure for the new guys? The Xfinity Series is called The Names Are Made Here. How are you going to make names when Cup guys and established guys are taking the spotlight away from guys who are supposed to be making a name for themselves? You're taking away, the current names are taking the names away from the guys who are trying to make names for themselves. And on top of that, we know how important sponsorship is for these drivers, for the sport as a whole. When all the Cup guys are taking all the sponsorship away from the Xfinity Series guys, because of course they're going to be on TV more, well then you run out of talent in the Xfinity Series and the Xfinity Series regulars. And I want to go back to the comment that I mentioned before. There is a couple things I want to talk about, but I want to go to the comment where I mentioned before about it should theoretically make the Cup guy, the Xfinity guys better. To that, I will go back to 2010 to 2012, 2013. The dark ages of the pipelines, where bushwhacking was at its most rampant. Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano, Kevin Harvick. Yeah, I know people have been doing that for a longer time, like Mark Martin did it a lot, but it really didn't become a phenomenon until Kevin Harvick did it in 2001. Mm-hmm. And then did it again in 2006. So it didn't really explode until the mid-2000s. And what happened? If all the Cup guys are running in the lower series pretty much the entire season, then the guys who should be coming up winning Rookie of the Year should be some of the best we've seen in the sport's history. Well, who's won Rookie of the Year during those years? Andy Lally, Stephen Light, Conway, and like Tyler said in the background, Kevin Conroy. Or Conway, not Kevin Conroy. That's Superman, I think.
Kevin Conman is what people like to call him.
Yeah, Kevin Conman, exactly. Not exactly Hall of Fame level talent. Let's just say that.
No.
So the problem is yes, they're going to learn something more. However, how much are you learning if you're always finishing 8th, 9th, or 10th? Not much. And then you go to the Cup Series where, instead of having 8 or 9 guys like that, you got 30. Of course you're going to run, part of my language, like crap. Yeah, maybe say 2013, 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18, you name it. Or I can hear one thing. What about Ty Gibbs? What about Hocevar? What about these new rookies that are struggling to win consistently? These new guys that aren't winning consistently. Meanwhile, the guys of the early 2000s won right off the bat. Well, first of all, that is a once-in-a-generation just streak of talent. All those guys are Hall of Famers. Very rarely do we get that, and we're probably never going to get a streak like that again. But I have a different opinion. I don't think it's taking drivers so long to win because they don't understand the competition of the Cup Series. I think they do. My opinion is, I just think that now more than ever, the Cup and Xfinity cars are so different from one another that they're
100%.
they're basically different disciplines. And what exactly do I mean by that? You have an Xfinity car and you have a Cup car. Now more than ever, they run completely different. You have to drive them completely different to the point where anything you know in an Xfinity car is pretty much obsolete when it comes to a Cup car. So not only are you having to learn a different series, you have to learn a completely different driving style. That is a handicap for new drivers that I don't think doesn't get brought up enough. I mean, look at Carson Hocevar. Why is he up to speed so much compared to others in the past? Because he ran trucks for his entire career. Trucks are more aligned with the Cup car than Xfinity cars are. So because Hocevar went straight from trucks to Cup, of course he's going to be more in line. It's why I think Corey Heim, when he gets the Cup, is going to be like Hocevar and just be on the pace like that. Because he runs cars that are more in line with the Cup car right now. And you want to go back to the early 2000s? The Xfinity car and the Cup car were more aligned than ever before, so the learning curve wasn't as steep. So, I'll split this up into two ways. Bushwhacking below the cut line will always be below the cut line, in my opinion. And it's not a level of competition issue. It's a car issue in the sense of the Xfinity and the Cup car drive nothing alike. Tyler, what do you think?
You've hit the marks really well, right on the head. You couldn't really tell a difference between a Gen 4 Cup car and a Gen 4 Xfinity car. They were both exactly the same. And that is why we had, for so many years, when those guys would go down there, you had nobody being able to develop themselves because they already had these years of experience. These rookies were coming in. You know what it was? Almost with the bushwhacking in the mid 2000s, it almost reminds me of rookies coming into the Cup Series now. They were trying to learn this car while everyone else was already miles ahead. So when they came down to bushwhack, it was those guys had no chance, and they're like, "Well, you ain't going to compete up here." Well, yeah, no, of course they're not going to be able to compete in the Cup Series. So at that point, you would have like the people like the Chris Wrights of today be in those other rides. And that's what happened between the 2010 and 2013. So basically, we've kind of eliminated that process from the Cup Series. Now we have it with the Xfinity Series. Now you come here to the Gen 7 car. The Gen 7 car is different in every shape or form. The only thing that it makes them the same is they have an engine and they take gasoline as far as fuel goes. Everything else completely different. The tires are different. The gearbox is different. The shape of the car is different. The diffusers, like everything is completely different. So when these guys do move up, it's a night and day thing. Now with Kyle Larson coming and dominating, I don't have too much of a problem with that per se. What I have a problem with is when he gets the top tier car from the Xfinity Series and then he goes against them. That's what kind of drives me a little bit crazy because, yeah, of course he's going to do good. If you want to have a fun competition, you throw him with the DGM racing team like what Ross Chastain does. That mixes it up a little bit. And also, like some people, I've been reading the comments on this one. If these Xfinity Series drivers comes and beats them when they come down to their league, they're going to make a name for themselves. I mean, that's why we were all talking about Ty Gibbs, because he beat Larson and Byron in these road course events, and it was extremely impressive. So if they're going to come down, and you're going to see someone like Kyle Larson or William Byron or those guys run in top tier equipment like with Junior Motorsports or a car that's affiliated with Junior Motorsports, yeah, they're going to be dominant. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, I thought you hit it on the head pretty much spot on. I mean, again, it's just... Now, I know the Larson one was kind of different because, I mean, he was a fill-in, he was a substitute. So, I mean, like, there's really nothing you could do about that one. But, I mean, yeah, I would hope the Cup guy is going to outperform the guys who have basically no experience, the guys who are just learning how to be NASCAR drivers. I hope that's the case.
Do you think a substitute driver should be from a lower series or from an equal series, not a series above hand? You know what I mean? Should it have been like a Raha Caruth coming on up and doing his debut running in that 88 car. since there's a technical alliance with Spire Motorsports? Or do you think that they can choose and be like, hey, if a Cup driver wants to come down here? Or do you think it's more of the sponsorship's decision?
I'm pretty sure it was a sponsor decision. I would also imagine that Larson was just easier to bring on than maybe like, I don't know. I'm not saying like, yeah, they could have brought in a Hocevar, maybe a Corey Day or whoever, but I imagine, it was just kind of, they only had a few days, so they're kind of just like, hey, Larson, what's up, man? Hey, we need you to sub real quick. You good for that? Oh, yeah, I'm good, boss. All right, cool. Appreciate you. I'm pretty sure just something like that. I believe, yeah, that's it for, yeah, I already mentioned below the cut line and things here and there. So, speaking of which, below the cut line, that's going to do it for that. And now let's move on to Race Weekend Rankings, the superior tier list. The superior tier list. Chat, who's tier list?
Come on, the vanilla wafer tier list. Wait, well, you can't ask Chat. Chat's been used to you guys. These guys probably don't even know who I am. They just know that I'm that guy who wears a big hat all the time.
Chat, whose tier list is better? My tier list or Tyler's tier list? All right, let's get into it. So, Race Weekend Rankings for Texas. Just ignore this. Tier maker is just being weird. It wouldn't let me delete it for some reason. But we had a triple header week, so let's just jump straight into it. I don't know if we really had a bad race this week. I thought most of the races this week were pretty good. But in third place, I'm going to put the truck race for a few reasons. Like I mentioned, I didn't get to watch too much of it because, like I said, I was too busy watching Thunderbolts. On top of that, the finish was very, very controversial in the sense of who was out front. Was it Raja? Was it Corey? You name it. And I think because of that controversy, it kind of left a lot of sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. So because of that, I'm going to put it in third. Though from what I saw, from what people told me, the race was actually pretty fun. Even though Corey Heim just dominated from start to finish. In second place, what's really interesting, like I mentioned before, what do I constitute as a good race or not? I'm going to put the Cup race in second. And the main reason is because, yeah, you had a lot of strategy, you had a lot of calamity, you had a lot of unpredictability. However, it goes back to what I say. It's like a good F1 race. Typically, if it's good, it's not because there's wheel-to-wheel action. It's good because it's just a crapshoot. And this race was a crapshoot. So, it was good, it was entertaining, and had a lot of things that I liked. But the on-track product itself, battling for the lead, wasn't really there. It was there for the Xfinity series, however. Allgaier, Larson, even Nick Sanchez had a shot at the win. These guys, they were able to drive up and actually contend for the win. Again, it's Texas. It's never going to be a barn burner. We'll see where the races land on in terms of like the 2025 tier. But all of these are pretty close. Like these two you could probably change. Maybe this one. Like all these you could really change. Like, I wouldn't say they're really barn burners. I wouldn't say they're, terrible. But this is what I have so far for the Texas Race Weekend rankings for this year. Moving on to the 2025 tier list. I'm going to have to start shrinking this screen here because we have a lot of races. And, by the way, before we continue, if you guys want to have your tier list, the two links are in the description for both this weekend and the 2025 season. So I always say it every week. I will continue to say it every week. Show us your tier list. Tag us, Daily Downforce, Armani DePaul, and we'll share it with you. Moving on. If you guys want to know what constitutes as S, A, B, C, D, and F, I guess I'll go a little more into detail. S, phenomenal. Nearly perfect race. Incredible. One of my favorite races, period, ever. A, very, very good. Very few things to complain about. Maybe not, S tier is like near perfect. Maybe not a perfect race, but still very, very, very good. B tier. A good race. Good. Solid. If we had to go in terms of 1 through 10 or like on a letter grade, A plus, A to A plus, A minus to, well, obviously S, A, B, C, you get it. But like 10 out of 10, 9 to 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10, 5 to 6 out of 10, 3 to 4 out of 10, and then 2 on down. C tier. I reserved this for solid race. Probably not going to remember it within a month from now. D tier. Very bad. Not very good, or there was like an asterisk to it. And then F tier is just straight up embarrassing. Like, I never want to see that again. It's a disgrace to auto racing. And unfortunately, we've had 4 of those. So, unfortunately. Where am I going to put these guys? I'll put Xfinity in B tier. I'm going to put Cup in B tier in the sense of I don't think we're going to probably remember this race just for how chaotic it is or chaotic it was. But, you know, you could put this either at the top of C tier or the back of B tier. Which means for here, I'm probably going to put, I mean, like I said, C tier, I forgot most of this stuff. So I'll probably put this, it in the middle of C tier. Well, there we go. Those are my 2025 race weekend rankings so far. Again, in the description, tell me what you think. Tyler, what do you think?
I think I'm seeing this tier list, and I think we can all agree that I'm looking at a lot of those races were near the top were chaos races. So the unpredictability, the entertaining races, with the tier list, I think we like those a lot more. And races like the Goodyear 400 and those races where there was not a lot of passing for the lead, we rank them a little bit lower. That's all I'm gonna say. That's why I really like this race, because I'm of the understanding that we want this kind of craziness.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. I mean, look, I'm looking at it right now. I mean, I wouldn't say Vegas was very chaotic. Homestead wasn't really chaotic. Lottery 250, I forgot. I want to say the Rockinghams weren't chaotic. I don't know. I don't think a lot of these were really chaotic.
Well, let me rephrase that. Not every single one of those races were, but the chaos races are up there, and the races where you had one person just dominating are down at the bottom. I'm not saying all of them, because obviously the Echo Park race was a really, really good race. It wasn't chaotic, and so was the Vegas race, was a really good race. What I'm saying is, if we had a choice, it looks like this is what we want. We want a little bit more chaos in our NASCAR.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, at the end of the day, no one wants to really see a guy winning by 7 seconds. No one wants to see that. Antonio, I see you, bud. I'm not talking to you right now. Grave Prower Racing VTuber. B tier seems fair. Remember, Logano winning ruins the race. Don't tell that to Johnny.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I agree with these guys. What am I saying? The Texas race was terrible. Logano wins. Put it down in F tier. It's a throwaway race.
All right, well, that about does it. That about does it for this episode. Tyler, thank you for coming on. Again, happy belated birthday to Tyler. Everybody, it's Tyler's belated birthday. So you already know what we need to do, what y'all need to do, especially. You guys see Instagram and the TikTok. Go spam Tyler. This is his birthday present. Y'all are late on his birthday? Well, y'all got to make it up to him. So go follow Tyler on his socials. Anyway, Tyler, thanks for coming on. Talk about yourself. Talk about the Liquid Death. Talk about your inferior tier list. Talk about the big hat.
Oh, come on now. You can't throw that little one in the middle and not me recognize it. But yeah, if you guys ever want to check me out, I am most proud of the videos I make here on YouTube. It's at Vanilla Wafers. They're documentary style videos, and they talk about history in NASCAR that many people don't really recognize or know about. So I like touching on those little details because I think it's absolutely fascinating. As far as TikTok and Instagram goes, that's where I have more of my humor side, because I'm always of a person that thinks NASCAR should be more fun than anything. It was built on fun, and it should stay as fun. If you do want to get yourself a high quality drink, make sure to look at liquiddeath.com for their high quality iced tea over there. Or if you want to have a big old noggin and be a boss at the same time, go check out Noggin Boss. These two are my partners. So thank you guys so much for letting me be a part of this episode today.
And I know you have the Fantasy Filler podcast. I believe if I was correct, wasn't I the one who came up with that name?
You were the one who created that name.
That's right.
Yeah, I was like, guys, I can't be the field filler anymore because I'm actually talking about fantasy. What should we do? And you immediately said fantasy filler, and I was like, man, that was the easiest thing in the world. Thank you so much. And unfortunately, that podcast came to an end at the end of the 2023 season, but still, it was a lot of fun while doing it.
You know, it's crazy, too, because I am not good at names. You can ask anyone. They'll tell you I am not good at making names. So the fact that I came up with that is my crowning achievement.
And then I shut it down right on after.
Thank you for that.
Idea.
But anyway, Tyler, again, thank you so much for coming on. Everyone, go follow. You guys saw, I'll pull up the YouTube once again. There you see Tyler's YouTube right here, Vanilla Wafer. Go check him out. And then, of course, the socials right underneath here. You go check them out as well. And that's going to do it for us here on the Cutline, ladies and gentlemen. You guys can follow me on my Instagram, my TikTok below. I would put my Twitter there, but I self-promoted so much on the show nowadays, you should already know what it is. And if you don't, it's the same handle as my my Instagram and TikTok. Follow Daily Downforce, of course, on all social platforms. Like and subscribe, all that good stuff. And, that's going to do it for this week, folks. Next week, we have Kansas, so hopefully we have a really good race to talk about, and we can talk about how good it was and not about this car or whatever, you name it. And like I said, that's going to do it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in as always, and we will see you next week. That's going to do it. We're going to wave the checkered flag. Have a good one.
Take care, guys.